You know, YouTube is a lot like being a professional athlete. You know, if you're going to be a successful YouTuber, you have to be like an NBA player or a Major League Baseball player or a professional football player or a soccer player or, you know, a basketball, like an Olympic sprinter, you know, a track and field athlete who's doing track meets all year round. I mean, you have to be like a finely tuned athlete, incredibly mentally strong. You have to be prepared. You have to do all the work of getting your fundamentals together. You have to stay in shape. You have to always just keep everything in order. You know, like you always have to be ready. And this is the most important part. The most important part is that ultimately you're going to have a bad day. By the way, before I forget, for those who care, I'm shooting with the Panasonic S5, the original. I'm using a 75mm Siri anamorphic APS-C lens, an f1.8 lens, 1.33 squeeze factor. I'm doing it because I'm testing for a film that I'm working on. I'm about 20 feet away from the camera right now. This is like an 85mm equivalent on a full frame camera, but it's obviously wider because it's anamorphic, and I'm testing for a type of shot that I'm going to be using in my film. And I'm in love with these lenses. These anamorphic Siri lenses are so incredible, and they're so cheap. So they're accessible to pretty much anybody. If you could afford a camera, you could definitely afford these lenses. They're so much cheaper than most kit lenses. So anyway, that's what I'm shooting with today. I'm using a Hollyland Lark Max for my audio. I'm actually recording directly into the receiver right now. I mean the transmitter, the microphone, whatever. And the receiver is on the camera. I'm also recording directly into the camera so that audio, if it spikes at all, or if it gets too loud, I have this audio which is much lower. It almost acts like 32-bit float, even though supposedly it's not, but it records at an incredibly low level, and then when I raise it to a proper level, it doesn't bring up the noise floor at all. So, I don't know. I think it's kind of 32-bit float, but it's not officially. So anyway, back to my point. I digress, sorry. You know, if you want to do well on YouTube, I've learned that you have to post a lot. Like, unless you have a big following already, unless you've established something with a big audience and you're already rolling and, you know, you're having success, you're getting all the views, you have tons of subscribers, you're making money, unless you're that, at least for me personally, my experience has been you have to post a lot. And, you know, I posted every day for about 8 months, and that got me monetized. And then I backed off for a while because I'm working on a feature film. So it was hard for me to find the time to do both all the time. And mainly because my YouTube videos, I was making them like short films. Like I was shooting all kinds of B-roll, and, you know, I was like really, you know, trying to make high quality videos in my mind. Even though everybody was telling me, just talk to the camera, don't do all that. You don't need to do all that, it's YouTube. You know, save all that for your Patreon people or for your films. And so I finally, you know, I never listened, you know. And then I started to back off because I was working on my film, and my channel numbers plummeted. They just went way down. And so now I'm back shooting every day, and I've committed to making YouTube a part of my everyday creative practice, just like my training in the morning for my body, my stretching, my strength work, my running, my nutrition. YouTube is now a part of my day as well. At least 2 hours to YouTube every day, 30 minutes to shoot, hour to an hour and a half to edit, post it. That's it. And I've simplified, and I'm doing mostly talking head videos like this. I'm still trying to make it look really good. I'm still a filmmaker, so at the end of the day, if I'm doing it in my apartment, I'm going to have beautiful lighting. And if I'm doing it out here, I'm going to try to create some kind of composition that makes sense and looks good and has nice colors, and try to shoot at a good time of the day. Or if not at a good time of the day, try to figure out how to make it look beautiful. So I'm still doing that. But I've noticed that you have to shoot a lot. And so I'm shooting every day. And I'm posting every day. And immediately when I started doing that, my numbers started to go up again, and I started making money again, which is kind of the whole point for me. You know, as an independent artist, we're trying to have as many streams of income as we possibly can. And YouTube is a great opportunity for that. You know, once you get monetized, then you can start building. And once you start getting numbers, then you could possibly get brand deals and different collaborators, you know, sponsors, things like that. And it can really contribute to you earning a living, to free you up to do whatever it is that's your priority. Making film, whatever it is, whatever your thing is. In my case, I'm a playwright and a solo theater performing artist and a filmmaker. And so all of this stuff frees me up to do that work, while also being great practice and fun. I enjoy being here, and I love telling stories, and I love talking to the camera, and I love coming out and shooting. It just makes me a better filmmaker. It's good for my life. It makes me a better person. You know, I love the exchanges that I have with people in the comments section. It's been incredible, like really a remarkable kind of thing, and so much better than social media, which I'm off of, which probably hurts my ascent into making real money with this, because I know like brand people, you know, like people who want to sponsor me potentially or have me sell products or something like that, they want to know that I have a big Instagram or Facebook following, which I used to have a gigantic Facebook following, but I got off of Facebook and Instagram because for a lot of personal reasons, which I've already talked about in other videos. And it's not really that important. And by the way, the lighting is going to go up and down out here because the sun is like going in and out of these clouds, but I'm just going to let it be what it is. So this is real life. This is as if you were sitting with me in this park and the sun is coming up and down and we're experiencing that together. So let me get back to the point. The point that I'm making, why it's like being a professional athlete, is ultimately you're going to have a bad day. You know, you might have a bad string of days, you might have a bad week, but you're definitely going to at least have a bad day. You're going to have a video that nobody watches. You're going to have a video that just completely fails. But then you have to get up and do it again tomorrow. And you have to put the same energy into it that you put in when you thought it was going to do great. You have to approach it with integrity every single day. You have to do your best all the time. And I think that's the key to YouTube. Like, you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to go through, you know, periods where you feel like you're going to go viral all the time, and then all of a sudden you're going to have 69 views or 85 views, and then tomorrow you might have 500 views, and then the next day you might have 13,000, and then just when you think that's it, I'm off and running, you get 77 views. And it happens, you know. I mean, there's a lot of things about YouTube that you have to learn from day to day, and it's just like playing in the NBA, you know. You never know what kind of offense a team is running or defense. Same thing with football, baseball. You got to learn pitchers. You got to learn if somebody's throwing a certain kind of curveball, or, you know, what their patterns are. Like, there are so many things that you have to adjust to. And in many ways, YouTube is a transactional place too, because it's also a good idea to watch other creators' channels and engage with them. And, you know, look at this as a community and deal with people. And the more people you engage with, I believe that they will reciprocate that and come back to you. Not that I'm the kind of person who thinks that's necessary, and I don't really believe in that kind of reciprocity, because people are busy and you don't know if they even have time. Some people have just enough time to post, and they can't, you know, go around looking at YouTube for the rest of the day. But they're trying to contribute, they're trying to provide something valuable here. And so they're worthy of support, whether they support other people on YouTube or not. I believe that. I believe if you have the time, support people. If you don't have the time, just post your videos and do the best that you can. And don't worry about all that, because that's childish to me. That's like nonsense. And anybody who's a real full-time artist, and you know, a lot of people are not on YouTube, but if you're a full-time artist and you're successful and you've been doing it for a long time, and I'm that person, you understand that other artists have lives. Like, you can't expect other people to do for you what you're thinking that you're doing for them. It just doesn't work that way. Just focus on your work. Think about what you're doing. Don't worry about anybody else, and just contribute. You know, do the best you can. And if you feel like seeing other people's stuff, if you're interested in other people's channels, then go to other people's channels. Follow them. Be supportive, you know. But if you can't do it, you can't do it. You know, you have to live. You got to pay your bills. You got to take care of your kids if you have children. You got to take care of your elders if they're sick. Like, you know, everybody has a life. So, you know, most people have regular jobs. So some people, like I said, have just enough time to actually do this, learn how to do it well, post, you know, deal with like SEO and thumbnails and titles and all that kind of crap. Like, what I'm saying is that if you're like, say, you know, a great sprinter or a great distance runner, and you have like 30 track meets this season, the fall season, the winter season, summer, whatever. Let's say you got 60 meets over the year. You know, you're not going to win every race. And some of the races you're using just to like stay in shape. You know, you're not going to try to push yourself. You can't keep up the same level with every single race. You can't play every NBA game the same way. I mean, you could try, and it should be your intention to give everything that you have with every single video that you make. But it's not humanly possible. You're not always going to be at your best, especially if you're great with it and you're always trying to grow and evolve and take risks and try to get better and try different things and try to like branch out and not be caught up in the exact same thing all the time, which will probably hurt you ultimately anyway. If you're willing to learn more and grow and expand, then, you know, chances are you're going to fail every once in a while. But that doesn't mean that you don't have to get up the next day and do it again. And so I think one of the strongest assets that you could have as a YouTuber is to have the ability to get up and put something out there every day. And really, at least intend to be sincere with it. Don't just talk some shit, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, when you wake up in the morning and you have your day in front of you, you are not a robot. You're not existing in the exact same way every day. You're not thinking of the exact same things every day. Even if you have a job that you hate that is the exact same thing every day, the news changes, people around you change, the weather changes, everything changes. Your favorite team wins, your favorite team loses, somebody comes out with a new line of clothing, there's new albums coming out, new movies, like there's new shit happening all the time. And you're changing every day. So I think the challenge with YouTube is to give something different every day. Or if you're talking about the same thing, like in a series of videos, it's going to be a little bit of a different perspective each day. It has to be. I think the most important part is to maintain your energy, you know, maintain your enthusiasm. And what that, you know, what helps with that is to take care of yourself, take care of your body, you know, get enough rest, hydrate, eat properly, you know, your nutrition is key. Try to move your body, work out, you know, like do something, walk every day. If you're not somebody who's like an athlete, get out and walk, you know, stretch every single day. Like take care of yourself so that you have the ability to stay clear-minded and give something every day. And you know, if you don't feel well, if you can't do it one day, that's okay. Be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up, but intend upon being here every day. And if you have to miss a day, if you have to miss a week or whatever, okay. I'm sure there's a good reason for it. But if you want to be successful here, you got to try to be here every day. You got to try to be here consistently. You got to try to, and this is my experience. Like, you know, other people might be watching this and going, yeah, I totally disagree with you. That's fine. That's your thing. But I'm telling you what's worked for me and what I notice about it, you know, which is basically, since I come from being an athlete my whole life, it's kind of like being an athlete, you know. Like, you might not always be as strong as you were yesterday. You might not be quite as fast. You might not have the same energy. You might not have the same stamina. Some days when you go out and run, your legs feel like they weigh 100 pounds each, you know. Some days when you go out and run, you feel like you could fly and you could run forever. The wind, you know, it's like your cardiovascular fitness feels so on point, you never get tired. And other days you're struggling and you're just really laboring to get past every step. You know, like every mile that you run just seems like 10 miles. And some days you go out and run 6 miles and it's like, how did that happen so fast? YouTube is very similar. You know, you have to be prepared to do this every day. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about today. Please subscribe. Please hit the like button. Please consider joining my Patreon. That would be awesome, incredible. And check out my website. I'm redoing the photography page at my website with the prints that I sell. How you doing? I had to stop for a second because a group of people, this is like a gigantic park. These are actually ecological gardens at Vassar College. And there were like so many different directions that you could have walked right here. And for some reason they felt the need to walk right in front of me. So whatever, it's a free park. So yeah, I'm redoing the photography page of my website. Some people didn't like the fact that I had some sets of prints that you were not able to break them up. You had to buy the entire set. People wanted individual photographs, so I thought, you know what? I'm not selling sets anymore. You want to buy sets, buy all the individuals that you want. So I'm redoing the whole site. I found a better template for my photography page, so I'm doing that. And yeah, I'm going to end this video now. So thanks so much for being here all the time. I appreciate it. I hope everybody's well, and I will see you in a minute and all of that. All right.